Welcome to Barnstable Today. I'm Nick Cortez. Well, it's Friday, and that means that it's time once again to take a look back on some of the highlights from the past week of discussion on our daily talk show, Barnstable This Morning. For starters, we go back to Monday, August 2nd, where Pat Clark, the brand new principal at Barnstable High School, joined us for the very first time. Mr. Clark explained to us his educational philosophy and what his plans are to continue to improve the learning experience at BHS.
Well, I think I would describe it as collaborative. I think you need to start off and be a very good listener and learn the wishes and the interests and the passions of the people who work here and students who come to school here. And I think people will find that they have someone who is willing to listen, willing to collaborate, and if it's time to to make the difficult decision after you've heard from everyone. Ultimately, you do have the responsibility to do that. Mm-hmm. But I think that they'll find someone who's approachable, who loves their work. This certainly is a calling, becoming a school principal. And I hope that people enjoy the experience we have working together.
What does take the high school to the next level over the course of the next several years, and what is that actually?
Well, I think it's looking at success for all students, and that is making sure that we have the support programs for a student who might be struggling, making sure we have the extra challenges for those students who are quite talented. And then I think the greatest challenge of a public high school is what I sometimes refer to as the anonymous middle, not allowing the student who is in neither of those prior groups to just come in and go through the motions of the education, making sure that they are being challenged at a high level, even the student who's attempting to come in and be anonymous. So if we can hit all three groups, the real high achiever, the student who might be struggling, and that middle of the pack, if you will, student, I think then we've done a really decent job.
The legislative session on Beacon Hill ended a week ago, but not before a flurry of bills were passed in its final days. Among the approved legislation was an economic development bill that aims to streamline several government organizations while providing more resources to small businesses. On Tuesday, August 3rd, Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce CEO Wendy Northcross explained to us how provisions in the bill will impact the chamber and local businesses.
It has a lot of moving parts. There's two main parts that will directly affect the Cape Cod Chamber and our sister corporations that do economic development on the Cape. One is that it actually names us as the Regional Economic Development Organization by the state, and that the state will have a formal relationship with us. We've had very good working relationships and sort of an informal understanding with the state and contracts with them over time to do certain work, but this codifies that. So we will be the Regional Economic Development Organization, or REDO, for the state. And that just is a nice relationship. There's no money attached to that. That would come through supplemental budget processes. But that, when someone's looking to locate a business on the Cape, or they need help with permitting, or they've got a question about starting up a new business, the state automatically picks up the phone and is in contact with us. Mm-hmm. We're automatically in contact with the state through other meetings and events and opportunities. And instead of them having to flip around and decide what to do, it's very clear. The second most important thing coming out of that bill, and like I said, there's a lot of things in that bill. Yeah. It creates the mass marketing partnership. So it reorganizes all the entities that market Massachusetts, whether to tourism, to sporting events, to businesses relocating here, reorganizes all of that into one department. And as the Regional Tourism Council for Cape Cod, it again identifies us as being part of that process.
Hyannis Main Street Business Improvement District Executive Director Elizabeth Werfbane's new plan to help people feel safe on Main Street at all hours of the day and night is to hire a gentler, friendlier brand of security staff that she calls ambassadors. And on Wednesday, August 4th, she detailed for us her idea, which she hopes to implement in a matter of weeks.
Because other bids around the country actually have their own in-house ambassador program. We wouldn't call them security because, that's up to the police. We're in public property, so it's up to the police to have, to really secure the area. But ambassadors are called the eyes and ears of the street. So they're like you and me walking up and down the street. And if you see something that's wrong, you would report it to the police. But also you wear a T-shirt that's, like in Downtown Crossing that just started a bit, they're going to have 50 people with bright orange T-shirts and white pants, clearly marked Ambassadors Downtown Crossing.
Okay.
So you see that and you feel a little bit like, oh, there are people overseeing this place. And, it's being monitored. And so that's really important to them, as well as cameras, lights, but the people, are there.
I was wondering how this would end up looking, if this is really something that we're going to see in the coming weeks maybe in downtown Hyannis. I mean, is it people in berets and combat fatigues?
Oh, no.
Are people, is it people that are like, those like NBC pages that run around in those like snappy red blazers? I mean, what is this going to be?
It's more on the hospitality than it is on the scary. Yeah, I don't want to have like a bouncer kind of mentality.
Yeah, right.
No, I want it to be much more like hospitality, because we are, right now a tourist destination, and this is really important to set the tone that, if someone was looking for a restaurant or almost concierge service, but they're walking, they're friendly, they say hi to people, we want to overtake the element in a positive way rather than a negative way.
The immediate crisis of the oil spill off the Gulf Coast is nearing an end, and NOAA is saying that about half of all the oil that has gushed into the ocean is already gone. But the long-term effects of the disaster will be felt by wildlife for decades to come. On Friday, August 6th, Sandy Neck Beach Park manager Nina Coleman filled us in on how protected and endangered animals that summer on and around Sandy Neck might be affected when they migrate south toward the oil this fall. She told us that the Cape's terns would likely be okay, and that only about 10% of the Cape's plovers may be affected by the oil, but her concern was much greater for our population of Kemp's Ridley sea turtles.
Yeah, Kemp's Ridley is a very sad story. Those animals, as many people know, are all about nesting in the Gulf Coast.
Yeah.
They have very specific islands that they go back to nest in mass, and these animals and the population is going to be heavily affected by the spill. The turtles have to be at least 20 years old, and then they go back and they do nest, the females. And so what's happened is all those hatchlings from all those nests this year, scientists are predicting are wiped out. So all those little baby turtles floating around in the Gulf Coast, trying to grow up are pretty much toast. And so we're losing a whole generation or two, depending on how long the effect is going to be of those turtles. The turtles that we see up here on Sandy Neck and the Cape when they get cold sun, and we find them on our beaches in the fall, those guys are actually only about 2 years old, and they will be staying along the Atlantic coast until they're about 20. So those guys are safe. Mm-hmm. But the effect that we'll have, and what concerns me about the oil spill is, we're looking at it right now. We're looking at numbers right now about how much oil, and, there's all this good word that it's burning off. But as you stated really succinctly in the beginning, it's the long-term ecological effects that you always have. It's such a delicate system. And so what we're going to see is we're going to be okay right now with our turtle numbers, but then we're going to have numbers plummet when these hatchlings are supposed to be coming out into the Atlantic coast. There will not be any of those to replenish the population. So there's a lot of concern about our Camp Ridley.
Remember, if you'd like to view these complete interviews, they're all available for you online. You can find them at the town's video archives at town.barnstable.ma.us. Well, that's all for now. Everybody have a great weekend. I'm Nick Cortez, and we'll see you next time on Barnstable Today.